Hello and welcome back to Boxing News TV and Boxing Social in association with Betfred. My name is Aymz and I'm delighted to be joined by Showtime, Jermaine Springer, the light heavyweight out from Bradford. Jermaine, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Aymz. Thanks for having me on again. Feeling good and ready for the fight.
No worries, it's a pleasure to have you on, pleasure to see you and meet you in person. So we were just talking off camera. Let's start at your last fight, which was you unfortunately suffered defeat to Thomas Whittaker Hart, but it was a good opportunity for you on the Matchroom bill. How did you find that whole experience?
Yeah, it was a great opportunity. Being in the bubble was something new for me. Never been in anything like that before. So the whole experience, I kind of learned a lot from it, and it was weird. Like I said before, it was like I was rubbing shoulders with Eddie Hearn. I'm seeing Matthew Macklin and seeing Johnny Nelson. It was just kind of surreal, but I tried not to get caught up in the moment and just concentrate on the fight. But overall, like, it was a good experience. Even though I did suffer defeat, I felt like I learned a lot from it.
What did you take from the fight with Thomas? Like, I know I've seen you on, I believe it was your Instagram. You've actually become friends and you're doing some rounds with him. So what do you take from, first of all, fighting Thomas on the show?
Yeah, it was a tough fight. Like, Thomas did some really good things well. His distance control was really good, and at the time, like, obviously I wanted to press more. I wanted to push him back up on the back foot, but with his little half steps back and just controlling that distance, I found it quite difficult. So I kind of was a bit aware not to be too critical of myself after the fight, because it was a tough fight, especially in terms of trying to gauge the distance. But overall, I thought it was a good fight. I put some decent pressure on. I did have regrets after the fight because I felt like I could have, let my hands go a little bit earlier, put the pressure on, and just really seize the opportunity. And like, now I'm in this position now, I don't want the same thing to happen again. So I'm not going to make the same mistake twice.
You boxed in front of no fans last time round, and now your boxing's returning. We're welcoming fans back. There'll be a limited number of fans, but there'll be fans there. A lot of boxers who have asked about, the experience of fans and no fans, they've had mixed responses. What's your take of boxing in front of, essentially, last time round in front of no one, really?
I think it's brilliant that boxing's coming back to fans. Me personally, I thrive off that energy and the crowd, my family, friends willing me to win. Before the Thomas Hart fight, I fought in a small town hall show, and the atmosphere was electric. I could hear everybody screaming and willing me on, and even though you're behind closed doors and it's gone out to thousands, hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of people whoever's watching on TV, that's great. It's great to showcase your skills, but it's different when there's a crowd there. It's totally different, and me personally, I enjoy the crowd.
On Saturday night, you're fighting Shakan Pitters. Just talk to me about your preparation for fighting someone like Shakan.
Obviously, like Shakan's main attribute is his height. So I've been fighting a lot of tall fighters. He's been sparring a lot of tall fighters, similar to himself. Obviously, it's not just the height. He's got different skills and everything like that. But I've been trying to replicate in sparring similar opponents, and I feel like I've been doing well. That's why I feel like I'm ready for this fight.
Do you look at specifically the fight he had with Craig Richards and the way that ended, and do you take a lot from that loss that he suffered?
Not particularly. I've watched majority of his pro fights, the ones against Dex Spellman, Chad Sugden, Craig Richards. Them three mainly I've been watching. And I take a little bit from each fight. Like I've mentioned it before, I respect him as a good fighter, but it's not particularly about him. I know if I apply myself as best as I can win this fight 100%.
How do you think the fight will play out? Shakan looks to box. He's, like you mentioned, tall. He's got a good jab as well. But we saw Craig Richards, what he was able to do to him. You carry power yourself. Do you think when it comes to the actual fight night, when you step through the ropes, the fight will be similar to how that played out?
I think it's hard to say we've got our game plan. We know how we're going to fight. I don't want to give too much away. But like I said, we make adaptations. However the fight goes, kind of make adaptions. So I kind of keeping my cards close to my chest in terms of how we're going to approach the fight.
Both of you are coming off of a loss, yourself to Thomas and Shakan to Craig Richards. What's on the line here for both of you? Because it's a great opportunity for both of you, but also neither of you really can afford another loss on the record. So what do you think would happen And what's on offer for you if you were to win? And on the other side, what would be the other side of the coin if you were to lose?
Well, I honestly don't look past this fight. Like, this is my big opportunity, bigger than any other opportunity that I've had before. I'm fighting a former British champion. He's ranked number 5. This fight is my main focus. I've heard in little snippets of interviews that I've heard, Shakan is talking about rematch with Craig Richards and getting to that world level. Like, I'm not even looking beyond this fight. This fight is just my sole focus.
Do you think, talking about those snippets you mentioned there, do you think maybe he might be overlooking you?
Well, possibly. I'm not sure. Only he knows. But I'm ready to do my business, to be honest.
I want to talk to you about the light heavyweight scene in a general sense. So we've seen recently there's been a trend for the British fighters to, it's not all the same, but the similar sort of trend of you kind of do your thing domestically and then you go and take a world title fight and try and bridge that gap. So Anthony Yarde, Sergei Kovalev, Craig Richards, Dmitry Bivol, to an extent Callum Johnson versus Arthur Beterbiev. Do you think that's the right way to try and get to world level? And if that was something that was offered to you, if you were to get there, would you take that?
Well, I see a lot of people stepping straight from British to world level, but I feel like there's still the opportunity to like go on and win the European title and fight people who are up on top rankings of the world rankings. Well, I think once like you fought at British level and you get the opportunity to fight for a world title, I feel like most boxers, like the ones you mentioned, and myself included, would jump at the opportunity.
Let's take this out to the wider boxing sphere. I want to talk to you about, I know you're not just a boxer, you're also a boxing fan. There's some fallout that's happened recently this week. Unfortunately, we're not going to, it seems, get Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. Just your thoughts on that fallout?
No, I was gutted because for a long time I believed the fight wasn't going to happen, and then when it finally got confirmed and it was happening, I was like, oh, I was wrong, it's happening. So I was looking forward to it, and I always thought it's going to be a close fight, and it's one of them ones I can't even 100% pick. I think it all depends on who has the right tactics. I think AJ can beat him early, knock him out early if he has the right tactics, and I think on the other hand, if Tyson Fury makes it an awkward, long, boring fight, he can make it easy work just working off that jab and frustrate AJ. So it depends. Like, it's a really close fight.
It looks like we're going towards Fury versus Wilder 3. Deontay Wilder has brought in Malik Scott as his trainer, and from the little clips from Instagram, it looks like he's trying to replicate Tyson Fury's style. They're trying to bring in new assets to Deontay Wilder's game. Do you think we'll see a different form of Deontay Wilder in the third fight? And can we see that? Can he do anything to offset what Tyson Fury brings?
Yeah, like after his last fight, I'm talking to different boxing people and boxing fans. People saying, "Oh, Deontay Wilder should retire. Oh, he's not good." But why should he retire? Like, he's a world champion. He's had so many defenses. He's lost a fight. Like, he needs a chance to redeem himself, and he can tell that he's got that focus. He's not even bothered about the money. He's obviously said that he's turned down set aside money and wants to fight this fight. So he's a wounded man. He's hurt. His pride is hurt, and he didn't knock all these people out for no reason. His journey's come here to a certain point, and he wants to continue it. So I'd say good luck to Deontay Wilder, and if the third fight happens, looks like it's gonna. I think it's going to be a tough fight, but I feel like Fury probably come out on top of it.
One undisputed clash we're going to get to see, that's pretty much guaranteed, unless anything crazy happens, but touch wood it doesn't, is Josh Taylor versus Jose Ramirez. Do you have any thoughts on who will come out the winner of that fight?
Yeah, well, I've watched a lot of Josh Taylor's career and I rate him highly, and I hope he wins. I hope he wins the fight, but like it's another close fight. It's hard to pick him. I would just, even in terms of ability, how do you kind of score who's going to win, who's going to have the advantage? It's hard to tell. But like I said, I hope Josh Taylor wins, and it's a great fight. And whoever wins a fight is just on top of the world, unified, undisputed world champion. I say, wow, he can't get much bigger than that. So, I hope Josh Taylor does it.
Another thing I want to talk to you about is a very interesting story that's emerged about Jake Paul moving from Triller, and he's now signing with Showtime ESPN, which has housed fighters like Mayweather. He's been on their channel. Pacquiao has been on there. So
It's very. What do you make of Jake Paul being broadcast on a platform which has shown proper boxing fights?
You know, like, a lot of people have had their opinions on the YouTube boxers. It's a hard one, really. Like, me, they don't interest me. Like, for me, they're not proper boxing people, and they're not really doing it for boxing, but they're doing it for other reasons, financial reasons. You know, I can't really begrudge them, but me personally, like, I wouldn't be watching Jake Paul's career. Like, that's it. Personally, I don't really interest me, Jake Paul.
Let me bring this back to you then. I just want to know what are your motivations for getting in the ring? What do you fight for?
It's a good question. It's like, I just always want to test myself and just kind of see how far I can go with it all. You know, I've loved boxing for a long time now, and you know, if you would have told me, even when I started my journey as becoming a professional, if you told me that I'd have continued, I'd be fighting a British champion, you know, I don't know if I would have believed it or not, but I'm glad the way my journey has come. I just want it to keep continuing. I want to keep pushing myself. I want to just go as far as I can in this game.
You mentioned earlier, I just want to go back to, you talked about, you know, having a few regrets after that fight with Thomas Whittaker Hart. What were those regrets, and did you take the loss hard?
You know, like, the main thing going to the fight, you know, it's a bit of a cliche, but I wanted to leave everything in the ring, and then after the fight, if I was being honest to myself and said to leave everything in the ring, I would say no, I didn't. You know, I still felt like in bits of this fight I had more to give. But don't get me wrong, it was a tough fight and he was a good fighter. But looking back, like, if I felt like I had to give everything, and you know, my personal, like, the way I fought that fight, if I felt that was everything I could give, then I would have no disappointments. But I knew I still had more to give. So that's the main reason I had regrets for that fight.
You've got Shakan Pitters tomorrow night. What can we expect to see from yourself, Jermaine, in the ring tomorrow?
Well, I'm 100% going to win, and I 100% believe I can win. We're just going to see a game, a focused, you know, just willing, and I'm going to give every ounce. And if it comes down to Will, who wants to win the fight the most, I promise you I want to win this fight more than anything. So if it comes down to Will, I've got the big Will.
What are your social media presences?
On Instagram, I am J Springer Show, and on Twitter, I don't really use it that much, but I'm Spring Boxer with 2 R's, and you can just catch me on Facebook and Jermaine Showtime Springer.
Thank you so much for your time, Jermaine. Looking forward to seeing yourself and Shakan Pitters in the ring tomorrow.